Welcome back to the channel. Right, this is just a little bit of an intro to our next collaboration, or my next collaboration with Cobra Stacker. It's number 6. It's going to be an interesting one. To give you a little bit of background. We was having a chat the other day, like we do, and we started off talking about the current financial system and where we might see it going, and my opinion, Cobra's opinion. Anyway, Cobra went off on his chat, which is what we do when we're together. And I had to stop him because I wanted to kick back on it so much. And at that point, we both decided, okay, we need to record this conversation and see where it goes. So, yeah, this is what it is. So sit back, enjoy. And I don't know how long it's going to be. We'll see. We don't want to go for more than 2 hours. But yeah, we'll just see where it goes. It's going to be interesting, going to be fascinating. Always cool to talk to the Cobra Stacker. See you soon. Cool. Cobra Stacker. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, brother. It's been a really heavy week, but I am really good. Looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, hello, dog.
That's Tyson in the background. Someone's obviously come to the door, but the missus is in. Mrs. Cobra Stacker. So, yeah, that's all right. She can take care of that one.
Cool. This is collaboration number 6, mate. God,
wow.
And the time goes so quick, doesn't it? When I did my Whiskey Wednesday this week, it was like number 10. And I thought, I haven't been doing this for 10 weeks, surely, but obviously I have. And then when I was trying to find out how many collaborations we've done together, and it was like number 6. And I thought, wow, where's that time going?
It's mental. It's the same as New Stacker Weekly. And I'm on number 6 already. And it's like, that's 6 weeks, a month and a half of just doing that little thing. And it feels like yesterday that I thought of doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, crazy, mate. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, I've just got to apologise. As I was telling you off air, that I just might have to nip off if the doorbell goes, because I'm waiting for a parcel. And believe it or not, it's silver coming.
Ooh, has it come or?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay, well, I'll let you all into a little secret as well. I picked up a parcel today, and for the first time, it's copper. But it was a piece I had to get. So one of the videos coming up will be about a copper unboxing.
Wow. Welcome to the club there, mate. Is that your first piece?
First piece. I won't be getting loads unless there's something really nice. And this is purely just for, not because I'm going to invest in it and but just if there's a really nice piece in copper, I will get it. And this is stunning.
Look forward to that one then.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So
okay. Sorry.
For us,
very quickly, loving your setup. I see you've got the big boys out.
Yeah. So these are mostly 10 ounces with a kilo completer at one end and a 10-ounce completer at the other.
Looks so cool, mate. And I will just say I'm absolutely in deep admiration for how you're the production and how you're coming across with your videos now. It's just another level, and it's really pushing me. I thought to myself, wow, what can I do for a little setup myself? And I thought, and I was just mucking around, moving things around just to show everyone this is real, because that's my finger. Yeah, it's great because it's pushing me to just think of other little subtle ideas. So yeah, well done there, mate.
Thank you, brother. This is the thing. If you look at yours, though, it just shows you, and it's just looking at yours now has taught me something. You don't always have to have a load of stuff out. That's one single Bitcoin, and it looks stunning. So that's taught me something today. Honestly, when we first linked, I looked at it and I thought, wow, so simple and yet so good. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And that's the great thing about we can all learn off of each other, which is superb. Buddy, I need to ask you something, and I think I've asked you this before. Do you know in your intro, which is absolutely stunning, I'm sure it's a lady's voice that says something.
Yes, there is.
Can I ask you what that is? Because I try to reproduce it myself, and I don't know.
That's a very good question. And the answer is, I don't know. I'll have a very good listen and I'll see if I can work out what's being said.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought you might have
That's a
put it in
great question.
yourself or something.
Oh, no, 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 no. I have no idea, but I will look at that because honestly, I loved it and I didn't notice what was actually said.
Yeah,
Very good.
it sounds something like "Je la baba" or whatever. I've just
Yeah,
butchered that totally, but hey ho.
I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, cheers, mate. If that'd be good, because I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone, pardon me, that watches this, your intros probably thinks, "Oh, I wonder what that means."
Well, look, just I actually knew exactly what it meant. It meant gold and silver stacking.
Oh, right.
Now,
Okay.
wouldn't that be cool if it actually meant that?
Okay.
Gold and
Fair
silver
enough.
stacking.
Right. Today, mate, I've done an intro already. So we started talking the other day, didn't we? And I not rudely, but brought it to a halt and just said, "Buddy, we need to talk about this and record it."
Yeah, you actually cut me off.
Yeah,
You actually went,
sorry.
no, no, stop. We're not talking about this now. And I was like, what? What have I said? And you said exactly the right thing because this is what we do. We get on the phone and we start on a subject and then it just flows. And it was a really good subject, and you just cut me off totally, but rightly so.
Sorry, mate.
No, not at all.
Sorry. Right. Okay. So a little bit of a recap. We not that we spoke about it much, but we was just talking about the current financial system, weren't we? The situation that possibly it's in, and you went off on your lovely little chat as you do, and yeah, it was basically, I think I cut you off when you was talking about gold and silver and the Fed. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you just express that and see where we go with it,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool,
Absolutely.
mate.
So what I was basically saying was what I watched. I watch quite a bit of stuff on YouTube, and I am careful to pick out what I'm watching. So it's not just someone spouting off their opinions or what they think, and it's more the news, let's say, about what's happening lately. And I've been watching what the Fed's been doing, and also obviously what the Bank of England is doing, and other places like that. And obviously, we've seen that our interest rates have been rising all year. And this is very evident in mortgages. My mortgage has gone massively high. I mean, the interest rate on it has taken it a good £700 up from where I started from because I'm not fixed at the moment. Um, and so what had happened was with the Fed, and the reason I use the Fed is because it's the dollar, and the dollar sort of influences the world in a lot of what's going on.
Yeah.
Out of 11 Fed meetings, no, sorry, out of 12 Fed meetings, I think it is now, in the last year, or maybe 11, 10 of them have been an increase. And there was only last month that they actually left it. They didn't increase, they didn't decrease. And I was talking to you about how that is affecting the price of gold and silver every time that happens and why I feel that's happening. So, for instance, every time it goes up, what they're trying to do is counter inflation by increasing the interest rates. Either way, it's a tax on us, whether it's inflation or whether it's an increase in interest rates, we're the ones who are paying it. But every time they increase the thing, it helps with their inflation, let's say, and it keeps the dollar a bit stronger. Now, we all know the dollar and the pound and everything overall is going downhill. But it keeps it stronger for a little bit longer. And it's the same thing we've said before about kicking the bucket down the road. So on the month that they held it and they didn't increase or decrease, we actually saw the after effects of, as they increase it, we see that maybe gold and silver drop. When they held it, it dropped quite a bit. But I also know that it's by what they say. So when they kept it static, they said, we are going to do another couple of interest rate rises this year. Now, from what I've been watching, they will increase it maybe one more time. And then they are probably going to have to do a U-turn on it and start decreasing. And if they do that, they are then going to have to go back to the printing press and print loads more money to counter that. So either way, their debt is in a bad situation, as we know. And so this is what I was trying to explain of my view of it. Now, going along those lines, my sort of prediction, and it's not one to be taken because I do not know enough about this, but it's just the way I look at things, is that we will see, because of this interest rate rise, and probably in another month, another one, and it does take time to filter down into the price of gold and silver, but I think we are going to see a drop in the price of gold, especially, and silver by a little bit over the next few months. And then I think in 2024, we are going to see a rally with gold and silver and the price going up quite substantially. Now, I know when I sort of started talking about this, you were like, hang on, well, I'd like to put this into our collab because I think you think differently on this. And so this was the whole point of our collabs, that we come up with something we're thinking and we question each other on it. So that's where I was going with it. And then,
okay.
Yeah, let's see what you think.
Okay, mate. I'm just going to say a couple of things on what you just said, because I, as you know, I like to write this down. Otherwise, I lose the thread. You said about the increases in interest rates coming up. We did have a pause a little while ago, and then you said why one or more to come, and then probably have to stop. Now, I haven't expressly got an opinion on it. The reason why I want to just dive a little bit deeper is by asking you and your opinion, it can then educate me on how I think about, because I get really confused with it all, to be honest. And without having those one-on-one conversations with people, you can't sort of try and work out in your own mind what possibly is going on or not. So when you say they'll probably have to stop, why do you say that?
Well, the reason is, as they increase interest rates, which affect all of us, it also affects them. Now, remember, all our countries like America and England, etc., have a debt, and their debt has been increasing constantly. Now, with the debt comes interest. As they increase the interest rates, the interest on their debt increases. And this will affect them negatively to such an extent. And so they cannot keep increasing the interest rate because they're increasing the interest rate on their debt as well. So the country's debt is going higher.
Okay. So why would this is the type of thing I think about, but why do they have to stop?
Well, remember
what's sorry
countries.
When I say that is like, why do they have to stop? What do we believe the bigger picture is to then say, well, they've got to stop? Well, what if they don't? What if they carry on? What could be the consequences of that?
In the end, there'll be a collapse, because if they already can't pay the original debt off, and if they can't then pay the interest off, then they have a real problem, because one, they're not paying the actual debt, and now they're not even balancing the interest every year or every month. And so it becomes a situation where you're in a proper downward spiral constantly.
Yeah.
And also remember that other countries have been buying US bonds, and the US bonds are the debt. They are buying their debt. And please don't quote me on this, but I believe Japan, is it Japan?
Yes.
Has now said they will not buy the debt anymore.
Apparently
so that's already a start of one of the countries saying, well, we're not going to do that. I don't know if it was you who mentioned it to me or someone else.
Yeah, it was me, mate. It was me last night.
So that's the first one that said it, and other countries do the same. It's going to flood the American market back with the dollar, which will cause inflation or even hyperinflation. These are worst case scenario sort of situations.
Yeah.
So it's no good having a debt which you can't even pay the interest off on, and it'll get to a stage, as I say, they keep increasing the interest rate. The interest keeps increasing. You are going to have to go back to the printing press.
Okay. And why do you think 2024?
Um, there was something I watched on that, and it basically said that look, there will be a downward trend in the beginning, but in 2024 there will be a rally on all commodities. So it's not just gold and silver, on all commodities. But from what I could gather, and again, please remember, guys, this is not a fact that I know. I'm learning, and so these are things I'm picking up, and I'm starting to learn on how the economy works and all that lot. So what we're going to see is stocks and shares, commodities, all those sort of things that we invest in, even the crypto market, will drop this year. And then next year, so we've seen it in 2000, in 2008 to 11, these sort of cycles which we go through. And if we go by those cycles, then we'll start seeing the increase that we had in 2011 in 2024.
Yeah.
So it's just going by the cycles that I'm basing that on, and some of the things that I've watched where people are saying, look, at the moment it's going to drop. This is how it's working. This is why it's going to drop. And then we should see if they boost in that money, which I'm talking about. So we get a couple of interest rates now towards the end of the year, or one more, let's say, and then they do that U-turn, and they start printing the money again. That will give a load of dollars into the system again, and we will see an increase. And the increase will be, again, because the markets will have a worry about the dollar because of what's going on. And they will start investing in commodities. They will take it out of the dollar and invest in commodities. Gold and silver being one of the commodities, and probably the first one to go up.
Okay. So that brings me, this is my thinking, mate. That brings me to then, when I hear this being spoken about, obviously the Fed gets a lot of flack, and the financial institutions at my chessboard level gets a lot of flack, and a lot of people say, oh, they're doing it wrong, doing this wrong. Do you actually think that they know what they're doing and the consequences of what they're doing?
I think they do. They know exactly what they're doing. They know what the consequences are. This is not a new thing. This has happened over time several times. They raised the debt ceiling earlier in this year, so they allowed themselves to print more money by trillions. But I think the stats, and again, I'm just going off memory of things that I've researched a little bit, that every 10 years we have doubled the amount that we print in money. So I think they know where it's going, but I think they know it's coming to a head. There is only a limitation on amounts, and also the BRIC nations are playing a massive part in it because they are talking about coming out of the petrodollar. So that also puts another problem onto America. And the reason they did that is because America weaponized the petrodollar. They used it to put sanctions in place, and it was not only for things like, let's say, Russia and the Ukraine, but they used it for things like sanctions if a country wouldn't do what America wanted. And so they weaponized what was being used across the world. Everything was traded in the dollar, especially oil, which was by the petrodollar. And so if you start using that as a weapon to make people do your will, people eventually get fed up with that, or countries eventually get fed up with that and say, right, we're going to go a different way. Now, with the BRICS nations, they're already starting to deal or talking about dealing in their own currencies, etc., etc. But they have been talking about, or there was talk about, moving into a currency that was backed by gold again. And again, if you remember, fiat currencies like the dollar and the pound aren't backed by anything. They're done by trust. If we go back to a currency, which maybe the BRICS nations brings out, which is backed by gold, it gives a solid backed currency, which is very powerful. The only problem with that is India has turned around, which is part of the BRICS nations, and said they don't want to go to a gold-backed currency. And the reason is they are allied quite strongly in trade with America. Now, India are a very big part of the BRICS nations, and so that does cause a hiccup for the BRICS nations for that gold-backed currency, but it doesn't mean they won't use their own currencies rather than using the dollar.
Okay. One of my biggest problems, I've got a lot of problems.
I was going to say, is your age.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy. One of my biggest problems when I listen about the BRICS nations thing is like, I obviously I've got an interest in gold and silver, precious metals, as you know. And you know, fundamentally, when you hear news like this, you think, oh, wow, gold back currency back to how it, you know, has worked for a long, 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 long time. And successfully, to be fair, until the Americans took us off it.
No, it was
Um,
fun.
I, I, I often think, yeah, that's really cool because I own gold and I could potentially benefit from that sort of thing happening. But when I really sit on the fence, I sit there and I think, well, okay, if there was five nations going to come up with a currency, how does that work? Who controls it? I can't see the Russians saying, "Oh, it's all right. We'll let the South Africans control it, or we'll let the Brazilians control it. We'll let the Indians control it." Who actually controls it all? Because someone's
Well,
got to control it. It's got to be centralized somehow.
yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. If it is a universal currency between them five nations at the moment,
Yeah,
um, I mean, this is something I'm not too sure about. But let's say there is now one currency. I don't know. They call it the BRICS dollar or something. Um, I don't know. Does it not work by a centralized banking system created by the five that they would all have representation in? Like when you have a business partner in a business and you're 50-50, you have the two of you, and any decisions that are made between the two of you. If
yep.
you have five nations controlling a new currency called, as I say, making it up, but the BRICS dollar, let's say, then would you not have five representatives, or each country equally represents that BRICS dollar, and decisions are made equally by vote?
Ideal world stuff, isn't it? Really, lots of trust.
Yes.
But then, do we live in a world where any particular nation, and has history ever taught us that when it comes to nations, can they ever agree anything, or does one nation really want to control something? So that's why I get a little bit sticky in my head, thinking, how can that work?
Well,
Now,
let's look at the European Union then. The European Union brought out the euro. The euro was spread across several countries. How was
100%.
that managed?
Yeah, but who really financially controls it?
Well, in the beginning of the European Union, what did we have? Five countries, seven countries?
I don't know, mate.
I think it was seven countries, and they were the wealthiest. And this is where the European Union slightly fell down, is when they started introducing some of the others. They were not the more wealthy countries.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that we have a centralized government type thing in Belgium, I believe, wasn't it? For the EU. Um,
Oh, yeah, possibly. Yeah, I don't know, mate. Really.
yeah, but the currency has been managed, and managed well, throughout the whole European Union. So it can be done.
Yeah. Take Germany out of the equation. Does it collapse?
Take Germany out of the equation of what? The EU.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we're out of it now. We're one of the strong ones. Germany's one of the strong ones. Um, I don't know. I mean, how and why would you take them out of the equation?
No, I'm just saying. What if they think, oh, right, the the people decide to get someone in? Crikey, look at history, how things change. The people decide to get someone in and go, no, don't want to do this. Don't want to support the rest of Europe anymore.
Well, that's what happened with us, isn't it? I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
we were sort of in that way of thinking. We want our own laws and we want our own rules, and we don't want to support these other countries which are coming in, and we're having to send loads of money to them because we're the richer one, which was a fair point. Um, I don't know, bro. I mean,
weird, isn't it?
this is. I mean, the European Union is a centralised thing. You still have Belgium, which is strong. France. Um, I'm not. Holland's in it. Loads of the strong countries are still there. So they would, I mean, they would make it very hard for Germany to leave. There would be many things put on Germany to leave, like there was on England. Um, so I suppose they would work it out.
Yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
when you start to join nations together, it's either all one, so you might as well call Europe just one country, or can you see my point? Really, I'm
yeah,
not.
absolutely.
It just
But
becomes really difficult.
did you hear what the Stat Collector was talking about when I did the 5-hour one with him, and he
No, mate.
mentioned Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK
Oh, yes.
forming an alliance.
Yes.
So
Tr-
there's another one which is coming up now. They're actually talking about a trade alliance, visas, etc.,
yep.
and movement of trade, which is great.
Yep.
But then, what if they decided they wanted to also go in their own sort of currency for trading?
I know.
Every country at the moment, I believe, every major country in the world is looking at now the whole situation. And I think the world is in fear of the dollar eventually collapsing. And again, we talked about this point with CBDCs that, everyone is trying to develop this CBDC system very quickly at the moment. And I believe it is because we know that the fiat currency that we're using at the moment is collapsing. It is coming to an end. And to me, there is no doubt about that at all.
Excellent. That's a nice roundabout way to get to the real problem, isn't it? It's like you're saying, see in my head, I think everyone's beginning to recognize this is why I do that deep dive into asking different questions about things going on.
Right.
I think it's pretty apparent that everyone, or sorry, all the powers to be across the world are recognizing the issue that we're all talking about and starting to come up with ideas of, well, when it does happen, because it's going to happen, it looks like it's happening quicker than more. Maybe they knew it was going to happen this quick. I don't know. And then that makes me sit there and think, how do you get over it? And then you can start. You just brought up CBDCs. Then maybe that is what they've been talking about for a long time behind closed doors, of how a new system can be unified across the whole world and also be individualized per country, if that makes sense.
Well, I absolutely agree with you on that one. That is exactly what I think has been going on.
Yeah.
The major countries and the major central banking systems have known for a while that there is an issue. They have had to look at other ways, and when eventually this collapse will happen, because it's not an if it's going to happen. I truly believe it's when it happens. And if they do not look into something now, then it suddenly happens, you're caught with your pants down. You're in trouble. And I think on the lower levels, like us guys, we look at things and go, oh, it's all about government control and it's all about this and they can stop our money and they can control our money. But I think you have to look at the bigger picture of why all of this is happening and what the real reason is that these governments are looking so deeply into it. I don't think it's because they want to control us. I think the capability is there, and we've seen that. I think the fear is brought on by places like China, where they have actually used it to that effect. I don't think the Western world would, but I think it is imperative that we have another monetary system.
Yeah, definitely. It's so adding towards that goal, but that always brings me back to what we're all trying to do, and that's hopefully get on the right side. Unfortunately, we have to talk about money because we don't seem to be able to live without it. Trying to get on the right side and trying to get our heads through all the FUD and everything that's going on and the agendas, and really sort of knuckle down and say, okay, let's put a little logical list together. What can happen? Why can it happen? If I was that person, although I'm not qualified to be that person that sits on the chessboard, what would I do? How would I, that sort of thinking, and then maybe we can come up with being on the right side of a very good trade to protect ourselves.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. And the thing is that we can't be in a position where we can sit here and change government's mind about how they do things or advise them on what is the best way to, end one total world currency and bring in another. So, that's that, as you said before. But what you're saying now is exactly right. It's how do we protect ourselves and how do we maybe profit from this? And I do think, again, gold and silver, this is why a lot of us are doing this, is an extremely good way. But I do believe it's about diversifying. And I I can't quite get my head around some of the things like crypto and stocks and shares at the moment, because what I don't understand is when you go from one currency to another in the end, how do you reprice it in the new currency? I suppose, putting it in a very, very dumbed down basic way, let's say if we're talking about the stock of oil, let's say oil prices, and at the moment it's, for instance, £60 a barrel. When you move on to the Brit currency, let's say the Brit pound, whatever it's going to be called in CBDC, they will have to look at what the price of oil was across the world and put it to our priced CBDC, if you know what I mean. So it will be, I don't know, 80 Brit coins or whatever they may call it. But it's trying to get your head around that type of thing of how it's going to work, which does confuse me a little bit, and I need to maybe look into it a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite interesting. Do you know there'd be two tiers in the CBD system?
Yes. So there's a retail tier and there's a wholesale tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
so
do you reckon who do you reckon to be on the chessboard? On the chessboard, who's going to be getting the wholesale?
Well, absolutely. It's going to be the government. You know what I mean? Straight up.
And who's going to be getting the retail?
Us lot.
The monopoly players.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is it. But I mean, again, are we looking at that in a negative way? Are we understanding exactly what it means by the wholesale and the retail? Does it mean that governments trading with other countries are using a wholesale one? Is that what it's about? And us within a country are using the retail one? Is it just a non-understanding that gives us that fear?
Yeah, well, I me being very cynical would say it's a two-tier system because we live a two-tier system.
We absolutely do, yeah. Of course we do.
And we do. This is, I don't know what you think about this, but I think subtly I look at this as history. Now, and I'm no historian, but when you look at the history of obviously Europe and the UK, especially from the very limited amount I know, as a rule, there's always been the haves and the have-nots through history. And I think that still exists, albeit with at certain parts of probably maybe from the late 1960s, the baby boomers, as they call them, the 70s, the late 50s after the war. Then on the rebuild, it sort of produced a middle class out of that.
Yeah.
Would that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, I think that middle class, I don't know why. I don't even know why I'm saying this, is slowly being eroded away so that we can go back to a two-tier system again, where we've got the haves and the have-nots.
Look, I mean,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but I'm going to go a bit deeper on it. Like,
go on.
Let's put it this way, right? We have what we call the 1%ers, right? The people right at the top, loads of money, and they control things in the way of they use us. We are, we talk about we're in a free country. We have all this and that and the other, but we're not free, are we? From the minute we're born, we are indoctrinated with what the country wants us to learn. We are then set out there to work. In general, I'm talking in general. We're set out there to work so that we can be productive members of the community, and we supply money to the government via taxes, which is not just one tax on our money. There are tax upon tax upon tax upon tax. So we are the workers. Imagine a beehive, and you've got your queen bee sitting at the top, and you've got all your workers, and you've got your soldiers. And that's exactly the same sort of system. Queen bees at the top, the 1%ers, the governments as well. And then you've got your soldiers who protect the country or protect the hive. And then you've got us lot who are the grafters who kill ourselves to work and retire at 65 or even higher now probably, and live out the rest of our years disabled or ill and not really enjoying anything. And that's how it is. And there's no doubt about that. But when we look at a two-tier system for CBDCs, let's be realistic. Are we looking at trade between countries is done with the wholesale CBDC, which would make sense because you are dealing country to country, and we can use a wholesale CBDC to push ourselves in a certain way and say, look, wholesale, this is what we're going to buy it at, etc. And then we put those commodities out to us lot at retail. So in other words, the government will make money out of us through the sale of the goods that they may get or the commodities they may get from other countries that they buy at wholesale. Is that how the system of wholesale and retail CBDCs are going to work?
Expand on that, mate.
Okay, 2 tiers. Who is going to have the wholesale CBDC? The government, correct?
I would presume so, at a central banking level.
Yes. So who does the government or the central banks trade with? Do they trade with us?
I can't. I'm not qualified to answer that, if I'm being deadly honest.
Okay, I would say they trade between countries. So like we have the petrodollar at the moment, that is, the petrodollar is used to buy and sell oil between countries. Right?
Okay.
And that's why it's called a petrodollar.
Sorry, can I just jump in there?
Yes, please.
And through my naivety, and I might be totally wrong, wasn't the petrodollar part of when the US went to, was it Saudi Arabia or wherever they went and said, look, we will protect you with our military might as long as every barrel of oil you sell will be sold in the dollar. And
Correct.
That's how it become the petrodollar. Is
Correct.
that right?
Which means the whole world has to use dollars to trade in oil.
If it's from Saudi Arabia.
From Saudi, which makes the dollar so strong in the world, or has made the dollar so strong in the world.
Okay.
Right? Which is also why I believe countries buy bonds and all that sort of stuff, and they store up on it. But my point being that if we come out of that petrodollar system, what is the way that we're going to trade with the world? And that would be the wholesale CBDC.
Yeah, but who? This is where I get a little bit sticky and stuck with it, Cobra Stacker. Really, who is centralized in there? Because it has to have a central point somewhere. It has to, because can you imagine a wholesale, if the wholesale CBDC is denominated as a pound wholesale CBDC, a dollar, a yuan, a rupee, so on and so on and so on. Where is it centralized? Who's got that control? And I think is it the IBS?
Again, I don't know, brother. And this is what I'm saying. When we look at this stuff, I don't know. When we look at all this sort of stuff, when we look at all this sort of stuff, this is, as I say, this is none of what I'm saying is fact. This is what I'm thinking would be a wholesale and a retail CBDC. Yeah. This is what I'm thinking that how it will be used. And I may be totally incorrect in my understanding of it. But this is what I'm sort of thinking along the lines of. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And how I can see it being used. So this is what I'm saying. When there's a thing of the 2-tier system, and we're sort of saying, well, we're cutting out the middle sort of what they call it, middle class. I don't know if it's so much that, or whether it is 2 different types of CBDC for world trading and for within the country.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm. It's interesting, isn't it? It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And this always gets back me. Sorry. This is what I always go back to when we have these discussions amongst ourselves and anybody out there. I always come back to myself. I have no idea what's going on that chessboard. Really
and none of us do. No. And that's the whole point. None of us do. And this is why we're speculating. But what will happen now out of a conversation like this, I'll go away and I'll start looking into it more and saying, okay, well, we brought up this point and I wasn't sure, but this is what I thought. Is that right or is that wrong? And so we start researching a bit. And it's not to say, as I said, that we can change anything, but it's trying to be a bit ahead of the game. It's trying to sort of understand what is going on and why governments are so pushing for this. And as I say, on the lower levels of us guys, the workers, the grafters and all that lot, we have these fears about the control of it, and this is why governments want to do it. But I'm 100% on one thing. I don't think governments are going CBDC because they want to control us. I don't think that is the whole big aim of it. I think there is a bigger picture, and it is a lot bigger than within the country and us little folk down here. I think it's about world economics and the failure of fiat currencies.
Oh, definitely, mate, without a doubt. Dude, can I just say, I love these conversations because, like you said, this now makes me think. This now makes me. Was I right? Was I not right? Do I go and research that? Oh, sorry, mate. I think my parcel's here. 1 second.
Okay, cool. You go for that. Well, we did discuss this earlier, guys, that this parcel might turn up in the middle of this video. And I said to Creative Precious Metals, I said, well, just pause it. And he goes, no, I don't like to pause it. I like to keep it running. He goes, because I want it to be original and straight and all that. And I thought, fair play. So the one thing with CPM, when this goes out on his channel, is that it's not adjusted and it's not sort of edited out. And I must be honest, I edit it out. So sometimes I've said my name instead of saying Cobra Stack. I said, oh yeah, and the geezer said blah, blah, blah. And so I edit those bits out. But CPM won't do that. So that is why I'm still babbling away while he goes, oh, you're back.
Yes, mate. It's probably more interesting you babbling away than listening to my dull voice.
No, I don't think. I think our conversations make people think, and I think it makes me think. And this is what I'm saying. Now I will go away. I know what I'm like, and I'll start looking into these conversations we've had and think, okay, well, right, let's look into these CBDCs properly and see exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So from that, we'll hit gold and silver in a minute. Whilst we're on the subject of finance, an old system, a potential new system, we've missed out the middle bit. How do we get from one to the other? Do you see a complete collapse? Do you see, it's going to be very cleverly brought through with the least amount of disruption possible? Or do you see the possibility where they're already with their global CBD system through the banking system, central banking system, and they could throw in, which some people talk about, a debt jubilee?
I think there's been a few tests done in certain ways, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. There will not be a complete collapse. I don't see that at all. They know it's imminent. They know that if they carry on the way they're going without doing anything at all, that there would be a complete collapse. There would be hyperinflation or whatever else. I think they will introduce the CBDC slowly while still running with our current fiat currency. They will overlap each other, and one will slowly transcend into the other. I think that is the only way to do it without causing mass fear and panic and resistance. They want the least resistance going into CBDCs as possible. Now, already there is the talk of why CBDCs are no good and why they are bad for us guys. And they want to try and avoid that. They want people to feel comfortable going into it. And I think if they took away fiat currency suddenly and introduced another system, we could have some real problems on the ground. And when I say on the ground, I mean us common folk.
Yeah. Do you think there's a possibility they might do the debt jubilee thing?
Explain what you mean by debt jubilee.
Oh, basically write off the debt.
Yes, I think in the end that would be the case. But
and basically reset.
Yeah, it would be a full reset. I mean, how do you convert? Let's talk on our lower levels, right? I owe, let's say, 300,000 in debt, mortgage-wise, and everything else. Let's say, and how do you then convert that into a new currency? How much is the value of that new currency? How does my mortgage transfer from fiat currency into CBDC? I don't know. I mean, do they reset the debt of governments and not our personal debts? It's a very good question, bro. Very, very good question.
It's a cool one, isn't it?
Yeah. And the thing is, I think I need more of an understanding of this type of thing before I can really comment on that. if you wipe out the complete debt of a country, how does that work? Does that mean the whole world and every country in the whole world is now in a totally different situation and we're all debt free and therefore there's now no third world? Or, I mean, I don't know. It's a very complicated thing to structure in your head.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose the only thing that maybe makes a little bit of sense, and again, I know nothing, but I watched the guy try to explain what it meant and how possibly it could work. And I'm going to butcher this because it was ages ago, and I'm desperately trying to think of his name. I really don't know, but I'll try and pick it out and put it in the description. But he was saying that possibly what they might do is, like you said, bring out the new CBDCs, get us into them, however, whatever way, shape, or form, and then the old system would be our pound, for argument's sake, wouldn't it? Or a dollar if you're in the US. Now, they would probably run side by side.
Yes, I agree.
And eventually, and in time, as the new CBDCs are gather momentum in time, then the old, whatever's been left in the pounds, whatever debt's been left in pounds, will slowly whittle away in time and become worthless.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
So the economy, the new economy in a new currency, whatever you want to call it, starts to pick up. So he was actually saying it's not going to happen overnight, or there is that potential it could do, but it probably wouldn't warrant it. And I kind of sat and thought about it, and I thought, I can see. Oh, I love that bullet, mate. Sorry.
You see, little changes may happen. You spotted that.
Oh, mate, I'm watching your video go up and down like a hawk. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, notice those who are viewing, you might see little changes happening.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? It's cool. So yeah, I kind of see, but I really can't get where I've been so used to paying your debts, paying this, paying that, and always having that flipping chain of debt hanging around your neck all your working life. I can't seem to let go of, well, I still need to, I can't see how it can be just whittled away to nothing. But
I can't understand how it can be whittled away in the way of, like, you've got your banks who obviously give out mortgages, for instance, but then you've got loads of companies who are not banks who give out mortgages. You've got, let's say, even down to a very basic thing, let's say Currys, you could have credit with them. You could have credit finance on cars. Now, how do you balance the books for those companies? Because if all of a sudden all the credit we've got is eventually wiped out, they've lost a hell of a lot of money and they have to be compensated for that. So this is where I don't understand. And that's being very truthful, where I actually say I don't understand how you could get rid of that debt.
Okay.
All right, as a government, you could write it off, but as a company, you couldn't.
Well, if a government can write it off, why can't they write it off for the company?
But then that company, if we convert the fiat currency into the CBDC, if a company owns, all right, again, let's put it on a basic level. A company owns £1 million in debts, right? So every debt that company has coming into it is worth £1 million. And the company has to carry on through the change between fiat currency and CBDCs. So we then say, okay, we're converting you over slowly, surely, however it's done. And a company's total assets is worth 10 billion.
Yeah.
And therefore you will have 10 billion Bitcoin CBDC.
Yeah.
But we're going to write off these debts for $1 million. Well, the company's just lost $1 million or $1 billion or whatever it may have in debts.
Yep.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yep.
So I can't see how that can be done.
Why? Why can't you see it?
Okay, let me put it to you this way.
Okay.
You own 10
Sorry, mate,
pounds.
I'm playing with your mind at the moment.
No, that's cool. That's cool. But I want to explain it in a way that you can understand why I'm questioning it and why I don't understand it.
Yeah.
You, in your total banks and everything, every asset you've got own £10, right? You lend me,
Owes what, sorry?
but you all your assets, everything,
Yeah.
equates to £10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just breaking it down really basically so we can look at the figures, right?
Yeah.
So you own £10 in everything you have.
Yeah.
You're a company, okay?
Yeah.
And you let me buy something off you on credit for £5.
Yeah.
I've taken £5 of your total value and I get it, and I'm giving you 10p a month back.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we get a change in everything, and the government says, okay, what have you got in assets at the moment? And you say, well, I've got £5, but I've got a debt of £5 as well.
Yeah.
And the government or whoever decides says, okay, well, we're going to give you £5 worth of CBDCs, but we're going to write the debt off. Right. You've just lost half your value.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. What if you said suddenly? No, I didn't say suddenly. I said gradually.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But you're saying at the end of the day that the debt is going to be written off.
Yeah, hang on. Not suddenly, over time. Now, you've got like my £10, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm given £10 worth of, it's so difficult because we're always going back to our old currency value. Yeah. If I'm given £10 worth of CBDCs and I've still got that £10 in the old money, yeah. But from now on, my company deals in CBDCs for products and services that because everyone else have them, yeah. Yeah. So my company is now dealing with, if you want my services, well, plumbing, heating engineer, yeah.
Yeah.
You now pay for everything that you do in your CBDCs, which you have at the moment. Yeah.
Right.
And that's how the economy will start to work again.
Yeah.
Now, you're still holding £10 worth of debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're holding £10 worth of new currency too.
Right.
And now you're dealing in new currency only. And your old debt can continue. So you can still pull the pounds from what people have had. Yeah. And maybe it's still working in the background, but all the time that debt is eroding very quickly because we're now dealing in a new currency. So it's becoming worthless quicker. And this is why the guy, hang on, this is why the guy that was explaining this was saying it's so essential to make sure you have your wealth outside of the system in things like gold and silver and potentially whatever, so that your wealth, because that's, going to be here for forever and ever and ever, money's going to be tied up in it, whether it's in new or old, hopefully new. Can you see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, look, I might not be understanding this properly and I might be, confusing the subject, and I apologize if I am, but I'm still trying to understand. Even if that debt erodes over time, you have still lost that money that should have been yours.
Yeah, but you're being compensated by probably being given it in another way. So your major corporations and companies, and don't forget, inflation's eroding that debt anyway, and we don't seem to be getting too passionate about that anyway. Yeah.
Inflation's eroding the debt, but if the debt was continued to be paid back, you would still be able to use that money at the time.
Sorry, I'm saying I didn't mean eroding the debt. I mean eroding the value of it.
Yeah.
So if you've got a new, it has to start somehow, doesn't it? And there will always be winners and losers. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So you're probably, if I don't know, when I think about it, I think, oh my God, you put yourself in the same situation. And this is why I'm pleased I'm outside of the normal financial system with my gold and silver and Bitcoin, obviously,
Yeah.
So I look at it and think, well, if that was to happen, I'm not even sure. I'm butchering this probably, and I'm so underqualified. But
Yes, both of us are, and
yeah,
I
it's
I
so
want
cool to
everyone to
talk
know
about
that.
it though,
Yeah,
because then hopefully it will make me more aware to just probably go back to that video and try and understand what he's saying a little bit better.
yeah,
But at the same time, everyone's very quick to say, "Oh, CBDC's this, CBDC's that, oh, this is that, and that is that." But I think we're so underqualified in understanding that, oh, this could be a good thing, or it might not be a
absolutely.
good thing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and I totally agree. And you know, I want to make that very clear to the viewers. We are underqualified as in we don't know everything, and this is why we're having this
Yeah,
discussion to
yeah,
see where we sit at the moment, where we're thinking at the moment. And I'd like the viewers to do that with themselves as well, to actually question where they're sitting on this whole problem, this whole situation,
yeah.
and then we'll look a bit deeper into it. Um, and this is why we have these sort of conversations.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, please, guys, if you're listening and you're getting this far and whatever, yeah, put your views in the comments, because me and Cobra would like to do more deeper dives on this sort of stuff. Because I don't, anyone that's in this community, in the community that we're in, must have these thoughts go through their head, I presume. And you know, from my point of view, being a dad, I want to try and advise my children and get them on the right side of things, the best that I can do. And you can't do that if you don't have debate and discussion and try to go down these sort of different weird and wonderful subjects, and learn from it.
Well, you're right, bro. I mean, the thing is, it's going to affect them more than it's going to affect us.
100%.
And I'm not talking about all the viewers out there, but me and you especially, you know, we're in our 50s now. Let's say if it does take another 4 or 5 years for it all to sort of come in properly,
Yeah.
you know, we'll be touching on 60.
Mm.
And then, yeah, all right, we'll have to adjust a bit. But as you say, with the gold and silver, you know, we can probably sell bits of that if we needed to and get CBDCs and carry on living. But it will be a complete change for the next generation. And the generation after that, and so forth, will probably just be born into the system. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So for them, it won't be a problem. But the next generation from us are really going to be the ones who feel it to the most effect because they are still out there working. You and me will probably be looking at retiring by the time all this is happening. They're out there and they will be taking the major impact of this change.
Yeah. I could not agree more, mate. I am absolutely feel sorry for anyone in their 20s to 40s at the moment. Well, maybe 20 to 30, but well, yeah, 20 to 40. That it, yeah, I really hope for our community in the UK and a lot of communities around the world, we can encourage people to looking into investing in themselves and hopefully coming up with the right side of whatever the chessboard is going to decide it wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is one of the things we had talked about before about why our videos are to try and teach the younger generation a few things that we have learned, just so hopefully it can help them through any sort of transition like that and show them another means of saving their money, as you say, outside of the system, outside of the banking system. So yeah, that's that side of it. But there is so much. I mean, we really don't know, bro. Honestly, me and you, we really don't know the whole thing of this, but we are starting to question it and starting to see where this leads to and how good or bad it could be for us. And it's really about the discussion about us, as in us working class people, because that's what we are.
Yeah.
I don't care how it affects the government, to be truthful, bruv, because the government will carry on and do its stuff whatever way it does, whatever way it always has, and we just have to go with that anyway. But what I do care about is on the ground where we are, how it affects us.
Super cool. Right, I'm gonna move that on nicely back into our lovely precious metals.
Yeah.
Do you think we're doing the right thing?
What, moving on to precious metals?
No, us doing what we're doing.
Yes, I do. I do. I don't have any doubt in that. I do sometimes question this though, right? So I absolutely have faith in what I'm doing with the way of precious metals and all that lot. I do believe it's a tangible asset. I do believe there are other assets out there which I should look at, or not assets, investments I should look at, which I am starting to do, as you know.
Yeah.
But my whole faith at the moment is held in gold and silver in that way. Yeah. I do wonder to myself, though, when CBDCs come in, how that would affect the buying or selling of silver and gold.
Can I jump in? Yeah, can I jump in there?
Yeah.
I think it's essential. If this is my total personal opinion, this is why I'm a little bit obsessed with it now. My total personal opinion, it's not a financial advice, is the more you can do before that new system comes in to get yourself outside of it, I do believe you're in a better position than the possibility of having restrictions put on you more going forward in the new system.
Okay, so explain that for me, bro.
Okay, so what one of the biggest fears that you probably read through different YouTubers, creators, economists that go on about CBDCs coming in is the control, how they can control. Now, me and you have had this conversation. Your banks can basically control what you're doing anyway if they want to.
Right now, yeah.
At the moment, but if it becomes more government, state controlled, which is obviously a big possibility.
Yeah.
Reading between the lines, then if they want, and to be honest, I'm going to jump on the side of state here. If I was them and I wanted to get a better hold of how my economy for my country worked, I would do this because I can control it. I don't agree. I don't agree with that and I'm not head of the state. I'm the peasant. So I get it. I get what they would possibly want to do. If you're this is like China, isn't it? All over.
Yeah.
If you're head and you've got control over who spends what on what, how, if you wanted to boost for argument's sake, your export manufacturing or your manufacturing of cars in your country or anything like that, you can make sure that, you know, if you're issuing UBIs and all this, a part of that UBI payment, you have to spend on transport. And if you don't, it goes. So that will force everybody probably to go, oh my God, it expires. You know, like with gift vouchers, for God's sake, you know, we have to spend it before they expire. It's just a natural thing that we do. So if you wanted to say, yeah, I want to boost this part of the economy because it brings us more money, yeah, we're going to put that restriction on. That's everyone's fear, isn't it? And that can be conducted into, they can say, oh, the peasants are buying too much. It's an extremity, but you never know. The peasants are buying too much Bitcoin, they're buying too much gold, they're buying too much silver. So a part of your CBDC's allocation might be so restricted, yeah, on certain aspects of bettering yourself, yeah, then that becomes a problem. So that's why, sorry, I'm just going to finish. That's why I say if we haven't got that restriction now, it's best to capitalize on that before a possible system like that comes in. This is hypothetical totally, rather than wait and then go, oh my God, that's unfair.
First of all, for our viewers and for myself, just so that we don't get caught up in a bit of jargon, what's UBIs?
Universal basic income.
Lovely. Right. So this is what I wanted to say. So when you said UBIs, I wanted to make sure that the audience knew what that meant as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Good chat.
This is where my fear is. Okay. While we earn our money, and if it was paid in CBDCs, they couldn't turn around and tell you what you can and can't spend on, because then the population would go, listen, you're taking the piss, right? Yeah. I have earned this money. I have gone out and earned this money, and you have no right to tell me how I can spend my money. Now, when it comes into the universal payments, this is what worries me, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Now, we did, and again, this goes into AI, but I'm not going to talk about AI. But just to say,
It's part
the
of it.
reason, eh?
It's part of it.
Yeah, it is part of it, because the reason that they're talking about the universal basic income is because AI technology is coming on at such leaps and bounds that they do truly believe that in the next year or two, a massive percentage of jobs are going to be lost due to AI. And we are critically on that level right now. And so they will introduce this universal basic income. All right. And this is a question I had, I think, with the stat collector that, okay, so everyone's on the basic wage from universal basic income. And you can either sit on your ass at home and do nothing, or you can go out and still work or in jobs that are available or earn some extra money from other ways. Now, does it mean that the government can control the CBDC element of the universal credit they give you, but they can't control if you've got a way of earning extra money, that extra money? Do you understand? So they can say, out of your universal credit, your universal basic income, you can or you must spend 20% of it on, I don't know, like you said, they want to boost something on a car, or you must only buy cars now that are electric and you have no choice, blah, 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 blah. But out of the income that you may earn yourself, if you are a grafter and a worker, you can do what you want with it. I can't control you on that. Do you see what I mean? I do have this thing that if you are taking a free handout from someone, it is going to come with restrictions. And I don't like the idea of that. But if you are working for your own money, there should be no restriction on it.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that one.
Yeah. But how can they, bro?
If you're
in that
paid,
case, then all this gold and silver then is pointless. It's pointless, because if they turn around and put any restriction on, you can't trade between people for gold and silver. You can't buy from bullion stores gold and silver. You can't, then what's the point of any of this? Because then suddenly gold and silver has lost all value because no one can do anything with it.
Wholesale, retail.
To who?
Going back to CBDCs.
Yeah, but
what if you can trade?
What if you can holding?
Yeah, but what if you can trade if you have gold and silver in the wholesale marketplace?
But bro, if the whole wholesale marketplace is being led by the wholesale CBDC, why is gold and silver going to have any power in that?
Well, you ask the rich people, are they going to get rid of their gold and silver?
Well, if they haven't got a choice because the whole world monetary system has changed, and gold and silver has always held a value because of its rarity and all the rest of it, and its applications within industry, but why would it hold a value when everything is controlled? Your finances are controlled totally, like you're saying.
Guys, I'm just going to lighten this up again. Isn't this fascinating? Listening to me and Cobra Stacker starting to now ploy into our brains outside of what we're normally used to thinking about.
Yeah.
It's I love it, bud. I absolutely love it, because then it starts to make you start to query your thought process.
Yeah.
And this is for me, this is very challenging for me, obviously, but if I don't do this, then I can miss something, because I can get really stuck in a narrative that everyone else is pushing around, and we all do it, without really thinking. And I'm listening to you, Cobra Stacker, and I'm thinking, hey, he's trying to talk, but he's dwelling around what's going on in his mind at the same time.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, and I'm trying to work out in my head what I'm trying to say, because I'm questioning myself on certain things.
Yeah.
But how do I put that across to?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's really hard, because this is not something that everyone's talking about.
No.
Say these subjects, but it's something I'm thinking about now, right on this minute. And it's like, well, all right, well, how does that work then?
Yeah. It's taking that deep dive into it. It's all right, just off the cuff, CBDCs coming in, they're no good, they're this, they're that. Whoa, okay, let's kick back on it a little bit. Are they?
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
what's the implications of this? What's the and the only way you can do that is try to put yourself up on that chessboard and look at the bigger picture. And this is what I'm trying to say on my channel, to get to even a small percentage of understanding what's up on that chessboard and playing out. You've got to try and get yourself there. You know,
I mean, this is, I would love to be in those big discussions, bro,
yeah,
and actually hear what their plans are. What was it I watched recently? There was something on YouTube, and they were in a meeting and they were laughing about
oh,
us people
that was
not
the
knowing what was going to happen and
yeah,
how we were going to be affected, like
that
little
was.
pawns.
Is it the FOMC?
I can't remember,
Is
but it
that the
was really bad. And I watched it and I thought, wow.
yeah, it's I think it's the F. I might be totally wrong. Please, the American people, if you're watching this, put me right. It's the industry that's supposed to protect and ensure your
Our money in the bank.
your
Yeah,
deposits in the banking system.
that's right. So it was basically saying that there's a system at the moment that insures each of our accounts for 85 grand,
Yeah,
right? But it's a buy-in system rather than a buy-out system, or the other way around. And basically what was going to happen was that if the banking system collapsed, then what would happen was they would take our money to support themselves as a bank
yeah,
and give us shares in it
yeah,
instead. So we
yes,
had to buy into the bank, and that was the only way we could insure our money,
yeah,
because the insurance companies didn't have enough money if there was a collapse of the system
yeah,
to actually give us all 85 grand each for
yeah.
our accounts.
I think the terminology is bail in and bail out.
I think you're right, right? And so we would have to bail into their system, and they would give us these shares in their bank, which were
Yes.
worth nothing because they were about to collapse.
Yeah,
Why do I want 85 grand of shit shares?
yeah. I
And
was
that's actually written, that is already in place. And I think that got put in place in 2011 after the last crash.
yeah.
But they haven't told no one about it.
No,
So before that, if you had 85 grand in the bank or less and the bank collapsed, insurance would pay you out for that 85 grand. But now, if the banks collapse, they will give you shares in the bank to the value of 85 grand.
I think I'm not entirely correct on this. If the company that's insuring it, if you've got any deposits over that threshold and they haven't got the money, sorry, if they've got the money, they will pay it out for what it's worth. If the banks are collapsing, God, do you really want fiat currency? But anything over that, so if, unlike me, if you've got over that threshold, then they would give you a share equivalent. But
No, brother. Let me please correct you on that one. I do believe you're wrong on that. It's not about anything over,
that's a
because you
bail.
would,
That's but that's a bailout, isn't it? A bail in is just what you're saying, just using your money. They use your money and just give you shares.
no, but the thing was, if you had over 85 grand in the bank anyway, it would
Yep,
be a loss. You would lose it straight
that's
up.
right. Yep,
Yeah. So the
yep.
only bail in or bail out with the share situation
Sorry, yeah,
is for 85 grand,
yeah.
because
Sorry,
the
yeah.
insurance companies didn't have enough money to pay out even the 85 grand for everyone who's got an account with that sort of money in it.
Which is what they were laughing at.
Yes.
Yeah,
And they were laughing at the point that we as people, the runt of the society, let's say, don't even know about it.
yeah.
And wouldn't it be a disaster if we found out?
So that gets back to you're right there, mate. I misunderstood that totally. I stand corrected there, totally, 100%. So this is why I say, like, if you've got the possibility to get out before all this frigging shit starts, excuse my language, that's why I say it. You know, this is probably an opportunity in a lifetime, to be
But
honest.
let me give you a real example of what happened to me, which is really actually interesting. So 365 did a couple of videos about how he's having problems getting money out of the bank,
Yeah,
etc., etc. Now, I went in while he had done those videos and I was getting money out absolutely fine. So different banks, different accounts. But I would take 4 grand out or 5 grand out or 3 grand out with no problem at all. But I was surprised at one of the questions I was asked. Has anyone told you that it is not safe to keep your money in the bank? And this was at the time that those three banks had collapsed over in America, or were about to collapse before they got bailed out. And they actually asked me that, and it made me think that actually they are scared. Obviously, we know that if everyone runs to the bank and tries to take their money out in one go, it will collapse the bank. And this is their fear. This is where the thing comes in of not giving you so much cash in one go.
Yeah.
And they asked me that question because I was taking $4,000, as I say, $3,000, $5,000, whatever. They always gave me my money. So please don't get that wrong. They always gave me my money. But they did ask me that question. Has anyone told you it's not safe to keep your money in the bank?
Really?
Yeah. So it is a real fear for them.
Was that the cashier?
Yes.
All right, that's interesting.
But they're told to ask the questions, obviously.
Yeah.
And that was one of the questions. And that was very interesting to me, that because of what was happening in America, the banks over here were fearful that anyone coming to take out a large sum of money, which, you know, I don't think taking out $3,000 or $4,000 is a large sum in the big scheme of things. But to them, if everyone came in and took $3,000 or $4,000 out in one go, it would cause a major problem.
Yeah, big bank run, totally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it would collapse them. So this is one of the fears that the banks have with that sort of thing. How did we get on that subject? I don't even know.
I have no idea. I know I started it off about silver and gold.
And that's how the phone calls go.
It does, yeah. So let's pull it back into silver and gold.
Right.
Oh, crikey. I think I said, is it worth it?
Yes, I do. I think it's worth having. I think it's worth, as you say, having some of your money outside of the system, because we don't know exactly which way the system's going to go. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with CBDCs and all the rest of it. But I do have slight fears, as I said before, about how we are going to transition when we go into CBDCs and how gold and silver will be valued. We know that it has been suppressed in many ways over time by places like JP Morgan and all the rest of it. How will all this play out as far as gold and silver goes when we go to a CBDC?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the way I look at it is, in true reality, the CBDC is just going to be relative to your country, and it's just a fiat version, electronic fiat version of what's already there. And this is why I like to delve into, well, it's okay going into CBDCs, but how does that, oh, what we got here? Da, 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 da. What's that? Where's
Big Ben?
Is that Big Ben?
Yeah.
Is that illuminated, or is that, oh, don't
no,
tell me that's a gold piece.
It's gold and glass, so it can be illuminated and go different colors, but right now I've just got it as it is.
That's amazing, dude.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh my God. I think we should you could probably make God knows how many videos on everything you got. Is fascinating. And the way you're putting it across on video now, it's just like that there. It's just like, what's that coming up? It's so cool.
I'm now a YouTuber on not gold and silver. I'm a YouTuber on Guess What's Coming Next.
Yes. We could start another little collab.
Yeah.
Little quiz. That's so cool, mate. Sorry. Getting back to what I was saying. Yes, I look at the CBDC, and I think there's a little question that's always missed. Okay, they bring a CBDC in. Then there's a question, why are they bringing it in, and how does it overcome the current economic problem of inflation and the dying dollar? If we're just going to move the dying dollar into a dying CBDC dollar, something has generally got to happen to address what's going on at the causing this collapse, you know. And just by producing an electronic version of what you've got is just going to prolong the agony of that electronic version is going to collapse. Unless something's changed at in the background.
The thing is, they can produce as much CBDC as they want. In the same way, they can produce as much fiat currency as they want.
Yeah.
The only difference is, if we're not working for our money and they are restricting the amount of money we are getting, then you haven't got the same problem of inflation as you have at the current market where we're earning money on off our own backs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So if they restrict it to 2,000 CBDC and that is constantly what you're going to get, they don't matter. It don't matter to them. They don't even have to get taxes in because they can print what they want.
Yep.
Because a robot will now be running everything and doing everything.
Yeah.
Or the majority of things anyway. And we're all getting 2,000 regular.
Hey.
And
so, mate, this brings, sorry, I'm going to jump in there. This almost brings me back to what I was talking about earlier. If you don't need as much new digital currency, because look at it from a futuristic point of view, you've got robots running everything, you've got to look after the plebs and keep them alive until they all die off and just leave a few people on the planet. Yeah, that's the big conspiracy. But maybe that's evolution. Maybe that's evolution. I really don't know. But it gets back to, what do they do with the old debt then? Well, and that's what I mean about something's got to happen to from that old system to a new system, or the new system just becomes the old system and it's going to fail.
It can't just become the old system. There has to be a reset. This is what we said.
Yeah.
There has to be a reset.
Yeah.
But how does that reset happen?
Yeah.
Which doesn't wipe out all the big companies.
Yeah. Maybe they don't care about all the big companies. Maybe they're just going to own the big companies like they do in China.
I don't know. I don't
know, mate.
I don't think corporates would allow that to happen either. You've got to remember that the top 1% aren't the governments. The top 1% are people who rely on the system as it is now.
Yeah.
This is also why we have not been allowed to fail the system already, because the people with the real money who control the governments as well are invested in the current fiat currency system.
Yeah.
Everything they own is invested in that. So this affects them majorly as well.
Can I just add to one thing there? And they own a ton of asset.
And they're what, sorry?
They own a ton of asset.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they've got a ton outside of that fiat system, which brings me back to, what can I do that I can't do it at their level, but I can imitate it at my level?
But then here's the question again, bro.
Yep.
If we all get $2,000 a month, and we have to spend it in certain ways,
or lose it,
how can we afford gold and silver on our level?
Well, that's what I mean about having it now.
Yeah, but who are you going to sell it to? No one can afford it.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to those questions.
Do you get my point?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
What's the point of having it if you can never sell it then? Because, we don't earn enough in this new system because they give us our money, and we need it for everything else. Who can afford to buy it? Then the question is, what's the bloody point?
You've got even bigger transfer of wealth.
Oh, it's so complicated, isn't it?
It's worrying. It's very dystopian. It's very film orientated. It's very what's the word? It's very
the thing is
conspiratorial. It attracts people to talk about stuff that is so deep, and there's so many
different angles and different avenues.
So many different avenues that can affect everyone in different ways. And we all do, as we all do psychologically, we look at it from, how does it affect me?
All right, but here's the other thing. So why were your reasons for stacking? One was towards your retirement. Two was to do with what? Your children, right? And whatever happens in the end, you'll pass it down to your children. As I said, this won't affect us so much. But if what I have just said is true, and this will be over a period of years because, they're not going to go to that system straight away, then your kids get it and may have some uses for it in the beginning and then want to pass it on to their kids, by which time the whole system's changed and gold and silver now have no value to the common man.
Physical gold and silver.
Yeah. It would have value, don't be wrong.
So why do you think...
Silver's so industrial, and gold has its reasons as well. But to the common man, would it have any value?
Well, exactly. Why do you think I've gone down a Bitcoin route, mate?
Yeah, but
why do they call that the new digital gold? Why is there a possibility that all of those fears that you're expressing, could come true, yeah, and could be a possibility, which would be devastational, yeah. So for that to be replaced in a digital era, there's got to be something of an asset outside of the normal currency, CBDC, that people like to invest in, like they do now with gold and silver. And that's why I hedge now. Well, if that's the case, and in a digital area, dare I say it, but I do believe in it, that Bitcoin could become that equivalent to being called digital gold, like the old gold has done in the old eras. That's why I'm investing in it.
All right.
As well.
Yeah. Okay,
just
bro.
in case.
I get it, but then you're not going to like what I say now, right?
I will do, mate. I'm not bothered to say what you like. Go on.
Yeah. But I don't mean it like that. But
Yeah.
you're not going to like what I say in the way of.
Yeah.
Okay, bro. If the government can now control all the digital stuff side of it,
yeah,
and the platform that Bitcoin is on is out of the government's control, then Bitcoin would basically just be used as a black market asset, because you couldn't trade in it normally because the government will stop you trading in it normally.
Yep.
Right? Am I correct?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Good possibility. Yeah, absolutely.
So in that way, then, Bitcoin is just our little way out of the whole system to deal in things on a black market.
Yep.
But the government won't like that because it takes it out of the CBDC system.
Yeah. But what in the same principle then, mate? Yeah, and I'm not defending it because I quite understand it. I'm not saying that's the way it's going to happen. All I'm doing is hedging my bets across lots of different things and different case scenarios. But what's the difference between what you said there to them gold and silver now? What's the actual difference?
Because we're not trading in gold and silver now.
Well, what if you don't have to trade in Bitcoin?
But that's what we're saying. If you're not using CBDCs, you'll be trading using Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You'll be buying and selling your stuff using Bitcoin. We're not buying and selling our stuff using gold and silver.
Yeah.
We are selling gold and silver, getting fiat currency, and then buying our stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, like China, was it China or no? It wasn't China. Apologies. There was another country that banned Bitcoin, wasn't there?
China banned it.
It was China, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So this is where I come in. As I say, what stops, when all this system changes, what stops governments from banning Bitcoin all over the world?
Well, they've got to universally ban it all over the world, first of all.
Or some countries may not, but then only those countries can use it and everywhere else can't, and Bitcoin's value goes to poo.
Yeah, but it might do the other thing in that country. It might go to whatever.
But do you see my worry on it?
Oh, mate, it's such an individualistic type of thing that we're let me go psychology on this. Yeah, it's an individualistic thing where we sit there and ideally want to, because of our comfort zones and what we've all been used to, we end up sitting, well, this won't work for me in my current situation, so I don't like it. Yeah, we can put that in all sorts of things. Yeah, well, if that's the case, I have an option. Yeah, if I don't like it, I sit up and put up with it, or I move on and go somewhere or do something where it suits me. Now, lots of us won't like to hear that, but that's like saying I've got a dodgy neighbor next door. I don't put up with it, so I'm going to move. I don't like my situation, so I'm going to move. If there's somewhere better to move to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Now,
China banned Bitcoin, for argument's sake, China banned Bitcoin, but it hasn't shut the system down. It's just got stronger. But now China are embracing crypto again via Hong Kong.
So what's the situation with Bitcoin in China now?
I have no idea, mate.
And when they banned it,
sorry?
When they banned it, how did it affect the price of Bitcoin?
It didn't, because all the miners just moved to another part of the world and set up again.
That's where I'm confused about the mining business, because I
That's what
thought
I
there
keep.
was already a certain amount of Bitcoin and it will never grow from that.
Yeah,
So what are you mining?
mate. I will totally butcher the whole thing. Okay, in 5 minutes. And this is why, you know, every time you talk to me when I'm on the phone, you say, "Oh, mate, you need to show." And what do I say to you? How much research you done?
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it's for that. I'm a layman at all of this, and hopefully, when we get um, oh crikey, what's his name, Camel, on the channel, I will get a very professional opinion, putting it across, structured in a very professional way. But that didn't stop me from actually consuming hours and hours and hours of information, trying to learn about money and how systems work, and how then trying to understand how this Bitcoin thing works, or crypto as a rule works, you know. So sorry.
yeah.
I know it's
I
very
have got a lot to
frustrating.
learn. I have got a lot to learn on that subject.
Yeah, mate. We all
I
have. We
really
all
do.
have. We all
Yeah,
have. We all have. But I think from my point of view, I would say this is the problem. We, if we want to understand a very complicated system, which is finance as a rule, yeah, we need to do our research, and we need to find what sits comfortably in ourselves, because then from there we can try and be a little bit unbiased in our thinking, and try and work out probabilities and risk, and if there is any, you know, I don't know, I haven't got a clue, I haven't got a crystal ball in front of me, but that's what investing is all about, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh,
terrible, isn't it?
there's so much to it, bro. So much to it.
it
Um, I need to learn the crypto side of it. I need to diversify. And this is what I say to everyone all the time. Look, I don't know everything. None of us do. None of us do. And
no,
that is a major point.
absolutely.
But I am happy with my gold and silver. I understand where that sits and I'm comfortable with it. I do have NS&I as well. I like that. It's a little
That's
play.
brave.
Why? Because it's government backed. But I
Can't
do
pick and
like it.
choose.
Eh?
Sorry, just me being facetious, mate. I said you can't pick and choose. You can't slag off a government in one hand and then put all
No,
your
but we
money
have
in.
to work under the government anyway. Whatever we do, we
Yeah,
have to work
exactly.
under it. So it's a little
Exactly, mate.
system that runs, and it
Yeah,
actually has paid me more than what I get in interest out of a bank anyway. So it's
yeah,
done all right for me,
yeah. That's
and it
good.
is the securest form at the moment
Yeah.
of
Can I
putting your
just
money in something.
yeah, can I just say something about it? I had 50 grand in that
Yeah,
for 4 months,
yeah.
not a penny.
But bro, you only had it in there for 4 months. I've had it
I
in for a few years now, and I would say I've pulled out an 800, 1500.
yeah,
You know, I've had some nice lumps, and then I've had the little 25s. You know, you can get quite a few 25s in 1 month,
yeah,
or 50s or whatever it is.
yeah,
You know, so you can get the smaller amounts, but then you get some nice little hits sometimes. You know,
yeah.
but 4 months ain't long enough.
Of course it isn't. I know that. But
Um,
when you listen to the some of the information out there, it's and when you look at the odds and the way it's structured to put your money into it, which I hate putting my money into anything that's helping the government. I really
right.
do, but that's out of choice. When you look at it all, you think, okay, the more if I go max, I'm reducing. It's like a lottery, isn't it? I'm reducing my risk, and well, sorry, improving my risk on getting some sort of thing back. And then you hear, what the hell is that? I thought something. I thought your hand had got really mouldy. Then,
It's a fire breathing dragon.
oh, that's so cool.
I'm really sorry, guys. This big, serious conversation every so often takes a little stop to, what the hell is that?
Yeah, but mate, but isn't this like our conversations on the phone?
Yeah, yeah.
We we have a laugh and whatever, but at the same time, you know, we chew the cud, you know.
I wondered if you noticed that one. It's a
Oh,
wicked little thing.
how can you not notice it?
I know, flying dragon. I mean, I will do a set properly where the
Yeah,
lights are right and you can
yeah,
really see the glow of it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
That's so cool. And the other reason why it's really cool is for anyone that's listening and not watching, then you know why I just said, what the hell is that?
Yeah, so if you are just listening, like on a podcasty type of way, my display is moving constantly, and when it goes from one end to the other, every so often I change a piece, and so there's variations in it. So yeah, when you get home, have a little watch as well.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Mate, so the underlying fact is hopefully you've invested in gold and silver and it's not going to be worthless in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's so cool, isn't it? Without that conversation, it wouldn't have allowed you to actually come up with that possible case scenario.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. And that's something I've got to look into as well. As I say, I don't think it will affect you or me that much compared to how it would affect the younger generation. I think it will affect them more.
Yep.
You know?
Okay, I'll have a bit of fun with this because you wouldn't believe we've done an hour and 3/4.
Wow.
That's ridiculous, isn't
it? That has gone quick, actually. Bloody hell.
It has, mate. Well, yeah, about an hour and 3/4. Okay, we'll have a bit of fun. 2030.
What about it?
Where'd you see us?
I see us not ready with electric cars, I'll tell you that much. Right, so that's one thing. The infrastructure is definitely not in place at the moment for electric cars, and what they have said is by 2030 they will not produce any more petrol or diesel vehicles. You can still have the ones you've already got, but any new car sold will have to be electric, and therefore the infrastructure ain't there. Right, aside from that, because I know your question wasn't relating to that, but it's something that really bugs the hell out of me.
No, mate, no, that's relevant.
It does bug me, bruv, because my missus has been given a company car which is electric, and she travels up and down the country, all the way up north and all that, and has to sit there for an hour every so often recharging the car.
Yep.
And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And then she can't find a charging place, and if she does, it could be full or it's not working.
Yep.
So the infrastructure is nowhere near there, and for the planet and all that eco-friendly stuff, you've still got the problem of disposing of the batteries, which is not easy to do, and everything else. So you've still got a load of pollution with it anyway. So yeah, it's a very sore point with me, electric cars.
So we keep all these things short, because you're going to rattle through a few, I'm sure. Are we being scammed or not?
What, with the electric vehicle side of it?
Pardon me, yep. Excuse me, sorry.
I just think it's a total farce. It makes people go out and upgrade everything. I don't like it at all. But yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, guys, let us know what you think about the EV situation in the world.
What else?
2030. Where do you see us?
Flying vehicles.
Pardon?
Flying vehicles.
Flying vehicles?
Okay, I'll tell you why I say that.
Wow,
the first one has gone for sale.
Really?
The first flying vehicle is now for sale, and I believe, if off the top of my head, it was $250,000. It is a small car-like structure which flies. So we are there. We've also seen it on drone type things, standing up on a drone type flying vehicle, and they're developing that at a very fast rate. So I believe we will have roadways through the air in a way.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So that was a real big one. When I saw the first car, I was like, I want one. I can't afford one, but I want one.
This is what I found. Sorry, I'm just going to cut in there. If anyone hasn't seen this is what I found really, and I still haven't finished it yet, fascinating about Cobra stackers and the stack collectors 5-hour marathon. Because there's all these little things that come out that I sat there and thought, wow, I didn't even think about that.
But I love conversations like that, bro.
Yeah, it's cool.
I really do,
cool.
because
really cool.
They make you think, and they make you go down different little holes and start checking them all out and what's going on there and all that. And they're absolutely brilliant conversations.
Okay, so we've got flying vehicles.
Flying vehicles. I'm keeping this on a lighter note. I'm not going down the financial where are we in 2030 because that's a long way off. And we don't even know where we are in the next few years.
No, but it'd be still cool that you can put on record that I put on record, you know, and we can look back and see if it was anywhere near it.
Okay. All right. On record, off the top of my head, financially, gold and silver, right?
Yep.
Silver will go up in value, but it's not going to be thousands of pounds an ounce.
Yep.
Or CBDCs or whatever it is. I reckon 2030, that's what, 7 years' time?
Yep.
I reckon we'll be hitting 50, 60 quid or the equivalent in CBDCs on silver.
Yeah.
And I think gold.
Pounds, you meant by quid, yeah?
Oh, yeah, pounds. Sorry to my brothers over in America. Pounds.
Well, anywhere in the world, really.
Yeah, true.
English pounds, not Egyptian pounds.
Right. So just for all of you, a quid is the slang for a pound.
Yeah.
And I reckon gold, I'm going to say, and we will talk about this in 2030, bruv. Yeah. I'm going to say 7 years' time, $3,000.
Okay.
What do you reckon?
I think you're definitely correct. I wouldn't go much higher than that.
Yeah.
And I think we might be surprised that it might get there quicker than 2030.
Well, I agree. I already think, as I say, 2024, 2025, we're going to see an increase in both. Not to that extent, but it will be a good increase, which will really put us on the track to those figures by 2030.
Yeah.
So, guys, put your predictions. This is just a bit of fun. Yeah. This is not me saying for a fact it's going to be $3,000 and 80 quid or whatever, £80.
Yep.
Right? Just a bit of fun. Gold and silver predictions for 2030 per ounce.
Yep.
Let's see what you got. What do you reckon? Give us your figures, your actual figures.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
All right. Okay. Gold. I don't want to go more than 3,000 myself, mate, really, to be honest with you. Silver. What did you say?
I said £80.
I'm going to push that up to 3 figures.
I'll go on with you.
Yeah, I am.
I actually believe you're right.
I don't know why I think that, and this is the greatness of what you just said. And I said, there's no way is this financial advice. No way is this, it's just our opinions. Yeah. It's just fun, but it's based on what we think, but it's not to be taken seriously. And please, everybody, for mine, and I'm sure Cobra Stacker's point of view, do what you need to do, not what we're saying. Ever. It's so important that you do your own research and make up your own mind. It's so powerful that. Sorry, back to silver. Yeah, for some weird reason, when I don't know why it is, mate, and it's just something spooky inside of me, really weird, that I see silver becoming a little bit more of value going forward in the future, and maybe that could be with technology that we're not quite using it for.
Good point.
Which
may give me an actual figure.
£100.
£100. All right.
Yeah.
Are you a betting man? A small bet, not a stupid bet.
I'm not a betting man, but a lot of people looking at this and say I'm such a hypocrite because that's what I'm doing with crypto, gold and silver and all my investments. So yes, I am a betting man because really,
will you have a little bet with me?
Okay.
Right, for 2025. Okay, 2 years time.
2025, yeah.
Okay, I want the highest price silver will hit in 2025, and whoever is closest to the figure has to give the other person a kilo of silver.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
All right. So 2025 prediction for the highest price of silver.
At any point in 2025?
At any point. So at the end of it, 31st of December or 1st of January of 2026, We go, well, my prediction was this, your prediction was that, it hit this, I was closer or you were closer, and we send either of us a kilo of silver.
In 2025. I'm going, sorry, guys, I'm having to think this because a kilo of silver. Actually, it'd be a pleasure. And if I lose the bet, yeah, Cobra Stacker will tell me which kilo coin he wants me to buy him.
Wow. Wow.
There you
Amazing.
go. Because I know
and
you
if I lose the bet, the same goes. You can choose a kilo bar or coin of your choice.
Okay, but because I know you like your kilo.
I do. It would definitely be a coin, yeah.
Yeah. I bet that year they bring out something like in 2026 at the beginning. I bet they bring out like some sort of proof bloody coin of.
No, we won't go proof. We won't go proof. All right, we'll go because proofs can be like $3 grand.
That's a really good question. 2025. Come on, and this is going to go on my faith. What I've learned so far. 2025. Oh boy. At some point in 2025, we're at 18 at the moment, aren't we? And it's who's the closest?
Yeah.
Okay, £55.
Okay. I'm going to go 40.
Okay.
All right. So
it's
if it's anywhere between them two, we've got to see who's closest. If it's lower than 40, I win. And if it's higher than, what did you say, 55?
Yeah, £55.
Yeah. If it's higher than 55, it's a straight win for you. This will be interesting.
Okay. So it's not the closest to it. It's just. Go on,
yeah, it's the closest to it. Obviously, if it goes over 55, you're closest. If it goes under 40, I'm closest. If it's in the middle, it's whoever's closest to it.
Yeah. What happens if it's bang on in the middle?
Then we don't buy each other nothing.
I'll tell you what, if it's a draw, which is ridiculous, then we buy each other half, I don't know, 10 ounce of choice. So we treat each other.
We might as well just treat each other to the kilo.
No, because a bet's a bet.
Yeah, but we're buying each other the kilo.
No, but I'd rather get the kilo for winning.
Okay. All right, fair enough. That's a deal. That's a deal. All right.
Oh, mate, Jesus. I hope Bitcoin does well because a kilo of silver, if it's at 55 or 60 quid, it'd be well expensive.
Yeah, but that would be at my loss then.
Oh, God, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if it's higher, then I'm the one losing out, not you.
Oh, that's
cool. If I win, it means you're paying a lower price. Ah, damn.
Oh, mate. That's a result.
Isn't it, for you?
Yeah.
No, I'm good with it. We'll stick to that.
I didn't think of that. It's actually, I like this betting game, especially when I don't think of it. Anyway, that's a bit of fun. That'd be really cool. CBDCs?
CBDCs, what about it?
In or not?
No, not quite. There might be an introduction, but it won't be a full takeover.
Yep. Crypto still around?
Crypto's still around, yeah, definitely. Bitcoin, I reckon, doing very well by then.
Sorry, you don't reckon by 2030 CBDCs aren't in?
Oh, sorry. I was still on 2025. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back to 2030. Sorry, I still had 2 years' time, 2025. Okay. Yes, by 2030, 100% CBDCs will be in, running alongside with fiat, but fiat on its way out.
Yeah.
Crypto, very unsure for me. I don't know. I don't know enough to say anything. And my fear is if CBDCs come in, they are going to try and wipe out crypto. But I don't know enough to make that prediction.
Okay. Bitcoin outside of crypto?
Bitcoin outside of CBDCs, you mean?
No, not just Bitcoin as a separate entity, not crypto as all of them.
I think if crypto is still going, then I think Bitcoin will be doing very well.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, with inflation and everything else, yeah, I think Bitcoin will be in a good place.
Okay. Price prediction? That's a hard one for you because you don't really understand.
I don't understand it too well.
Go on, it's at 20.
It's 22 at the moment,
20,
isn't it?
it's no, about
22 and a half.
23, something like that.
All right, so 23 at the moment. I mean, it's a long way off and it can go up and down, as we all know.
Yep.
But let's say 2030, I reckon it will be at 55,000.
55,000?
Yeah.
500,000 for me.
All right. I want to do Bitcoin tomorrow.
Don't take no notice of what I'm saying. Do the research, and then you'll know why I've just said that.
Okay. I mean, it's a very long-term prediction, and who knows what will happen
massive.
by then.
It's ridiculous. There's a lot of people that will sit there and go, in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams.
And the other thing is there's so much going on at the moment in the world, with CBDCs, with the whole change of AI, with all sorts of things that could affect all of this so much, any asset, so much.
It could be
that you
relevant.
Really don't know at the moment.
Could be totally irrelevant, all of it.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, where do you see AI?
Oh,
without going too mad.
Yeah, without going into it in a massive way, AI will be controlling a major part of our lives. And I hope that if we do things right, it will be very, very beneficial to man. It could go one or two ways. It could be very detrimental and we'll be fighting against AI, or it could be very beneficial and it will be an absolute asset to humanity.
Okay. Pick one.
Pick one?
Yeah. Asset.
What to invest in?
No, asset or detrimental.
Honestly, bro, it really does depend on what happens in the next few months. It is that scary at the moment. If we do not control it, and if we do not have ethical means of using AI, it will cause a massive world war and could be a major destruction to humanity. And I am not saying that lightheartedly. I mean it. And if we do it correctly, medically, moving forward in industry and in everything, in space travel, and a whole lot, we will be learning at an exponential rate. I want to say it will be an asset because I dread the other side.
Absolutely. And I will say the same purely because I've got faith in the goodness of humanity.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Right, last but not least, I'm going to ask the likelihood of a major war.
Very high.
Yeah, I would say I was over 50% of that.
Yeah, very, very high. And the reason I say that is what is already going on.
Yeah.
And two, AI playing a major part in it. And even if AI is controlled by us, whoever or whichever country has full control over it or comes out with the fastest and quickest AI will be in a very, very strong position in the world. And I think we will be fighting over it. So possibilities of a big war, very high.
Okay, cool. Not the greatest way to almost end a podcast, but I will add to that. This is my opinion. The reason why I like to bring those sort of subjects up is because I feel that we need to address reality.
Yep.
And we shouldn't ignore it. If we keep ignoring it, things like what we've seen in wars in the past happen.
I agree.
And I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. This is reality. This is, the world is in a very volatile position at the moment. Yeah. Very, very volatile. With new alliances being formed, the death of a major currency.
Cobra.
Eh?
Cobra. Should we try and end it on a lighter note?
All right, I'll end it on a lighter note. You ready to start? Guys, don't forget, 2nd of September, there is the London Coin Show.
Yes, mate, yeah.
And for sure, myself, Creative Precious Metals, the Stack Collector, and Future Investments will be there. And this is for viewers and creators. If you would like to join us, please come along. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you. For those of you in America and other countries and all that, I'm really sorry. I would love to meet you, but I don't think that's going to be possible. But those of you in the UK or in England, if you can come down, look it up, September 2nd, the London Coin Fair.
Oh, great. I'm glad you brought that up, mate. And I'll ask you a question in a second. How do people, if they want to know more about that day, what's the best way for them to contact? Is it via you, or are you just going to push out some details on some videos, or what?
Yep, we'll be pushing out the details. Again, you can go onto the internet and just type in London Coin Fair. The entrance is £5. It starts at 9:30 till 3:30. So again, as I say, we'll be pushing out some content as into where to meet up with us around 9:30. If you want to join us to first say hello around 9 o'clock, we can all go for a coffee or something. Have a little chat, then we'll all go in there. We won't walk around in a big group together. Everyone can split off, see their stuff. We can either meet for lunch or meet afterwards. A few of us will be staying in a hotel down there, so we're going to have a good old drink that evening in a hotel bar. But more information to come on our content.
Cool. That's great, mate. You happy to wrap it up there? It's coming up for 2 hours.
I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation.
Dude, sorry, before you go there, I'm going to ask you a question. So we've got it on record and we know it. Would you be willing, now I think you work in the security industry, don't you?
I do.
Would you be willing to, the next time we have a chat, to discuss about your personal professional experience on making our or the pros and cons of security of our own personal precious metals?
Yeah, 100%. I'll
be happy to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
I have a lot of things in place, and yeah, 100%. I'll be more than happy to talk about that.
And the only reason why I ask that is because you're professionally in that profession.
Yep.
So you'll bring a professional side to and I think that would provoke thought within us as a community. It definitely will for me, and help me look after myself even more.
Oh, that would be a pleasure and an honor. Yeah, 100%. More than happy to do that.
Thank you. I'll try to remember that, to bring that up on because you'll be hosting next time, won't you? So
yeah, I'll host the next one. Maybe we'll do that on your one, because only the reason I say because is because a lot of your people will be following on this one.
Okay.
So let's do it. Next one we'll do something I was thinking about, and then on your next one we'll do a whole security section.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
yeah, that'd be really cool. Thank you very much, dude. As always, unbelievable. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Anyone got any comments? Please put your comments in. Please, I say this every time, if you haven't heard of Cobra Stacker's channel, you're living under a rock. Go and check out the channel. The content has just come on leaps and bounds. And as you've seen on this video, there's loads of little surprises. I call it eye candy. My wife might not agree with that. She's got a very different terminology about eye candy. Yeah. But no, it's not only entertainment, it's full of so much information, wisdom. I love it. I love our friendship. It's developing brilliantly. Thank you so much, brother. I've called you brother there.
Using my term.
Yeah. I really appreciate your time, buddy. And yeah, it's really great. Thank you very much indeed.
Brilliant stuff. And thank you, bro. And thank you to all of you out there who are watching. Same vice versa. I mean, no, this one's going out on CPM's channel, so you're already subscribed. Or if you haven't and you're watching this or listening to it, subscribe to the channel. Don't just watch it. And we will see you all next week. This will be going out, I believe, on Sunday. Is that right, CPM?
Yes, it's going out Sunday, 12 o'clock, which is tomorrow. But when you watch this, it'll be today.
Can you do it? Are you around to do a premiere on
it? Tomorrow. Not if we release it at 12.
What time could you do a premiere on it?
in the evening, but that might clash with
Oh no,
young
yeah,
one.
no, that will clash with our friends, and we won't do that. Okay, so this will be out at 12 tomorrow, and next week on Saturday we will have another collab, which will be out on my channel at midday on Sunday.
On so, oh right, okay. The only thing I've got to bear in mind, matey,
Yeah.
is I don't know
Oh,
what's going to happen, but I'm having an operation next Friday,
yeah.
and I might not even come back for it.
Oh, bloody hell. Well, let's try and do the collab during the week.
Yes,
And then
mate.
I can really...
I meant to say that to you. Whiskey Wednesday is going to be different because I can't even drink, so we might have a watered down Whiskey Wednesday.
J2O Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Buddy.
All right, brilliant stuff, brother.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. You take good care of yourself. Have a really good weekend, and speak to you again very soon, probably.
Take care and see you all later.
Cheers, Em.